it's me, Nikki. I'm going to be doing my November wrap-up. I would have done it earlier, but it's been a mess. Obviously the holidays. And then I was taking care of some dogs overnight, which is always stressful. And then my cat got asthma again, and we had to deal with an asthma attack. He always has asthma. But yeah, it's just been a mess. So I have filmed nothing in a way to decompress, but we'll get started. So I read 4 books in November. I wanted to read more, but I didn't. Well, I'll start with the 2. So I got this almost complete series, Into the Land of, The Unicorn Chronicles, for my birthday. And I wanted to, so I read these 2, and then I wanted to read something else, to not burn myself out, but nothing was hitting, so I just didn't read anything. So, these are not the first 2 I read, but that's why I didn't read more books. This is Into the Land of the Unicorns and Song of the Wanderer, which is book 1 and 2 of the Unicorn Chronicles. I think I've said this before, there used to be 4, but Bruce Colville got the chance to not rewrite, but expand on things and break the books up. He added a couple more chapters, I believe, in later books, so we get 7, and I have 6 out of 7. And I believe these are Kindle exclusives for a year, and then I can get the 7th book in book form. So this is about Kara Hunter. It's not even a spoiler because it's the first chapter. And it's her grandma and her are being followed, and they go into this church, and her grandma gives her this necklace and says, go to the top of the tower when it strikes 12 and jump and say the magic words, which are something I've forgotten. Where is it? Luster, bring me home, because that's the land. Here's a little map. And then she meets unicorns and other things that I don't think exist in our world. This is Squidgum. He's the only one. And there's a Dimblethim, I think. Dimblethum, who's the only one. And she sets out on a journey with her friends to get to the Queen of the Unicorns to say that her grandmother, who is the Wanderer, is tired and would like to come back to Luster. And that's what the second one is about. Kara and her friends, including Belle Finder, a griffin, Belle and Finder, also unicorns, and a couple others, go and get her grandmother back to Luster. And then, stuff happens because I can't remember which one it's in. It might be the first one. But the main I don't want to say crook. The main villain of this story, or one of the main villains, is a woman called Beloved, and she is a unicorn hunter, and she is immortal, and she looks probably about in her 20s, even though she's thousands of years old. And she tries to find all of her descendants and turn them into unicorn hunters as well. So, because it is said, their lore is that unicorns were once on Earth, and people were like, oh my gosh. And then some guy found a unicorn horn because when a unicorn dies, their body disappears and the horn stays. And so he went around telling everybody what a big, ferocious animal it was that he got it from. So then everybody goes out hunting unicorns. And Beloved at the time was sick, so her father went to the woods to hunt a unicorn to save her, and it kind of worked, except when a unicorn saves a person, they pierce them and wherever they're injured, I think wherever they're injured, with their unicorn horn, so it hurts, and that's what the dad saw. So he killed the unicorn, and the horn broke off in Beloved's chest, which is why she's ageless and can't die. And then they killed each other, and that's why she hates unicorns. So, yeah, and her intention is with the necklace to get into Luster to kill them all. Why? I don't know, because they're in a different land, so who gives a fuck? But it's what she wants. I assume she's not going to win, and I am in book 3, and from what I remember, shit gets bad before it gets good. Like, some stuff happened in here that is not great for the unicorns, and then in the third one, nobody dies. It is a middle grade or YA book. I think it's more middle grade than YA, in my opinion. Especially the first one, but it could get darker as it goes on. So yeah, I'm excited. I loved rereading these. I'm happy to have them in my collection, and I'm excited to finish the rest of the series, or as much as I can until next year. Ugh. I also read Red Notice by Andy McNabb. This, I believe I've said this before, this is Rise of the Black Swan SAS on Netflix. It was a good movie. I mean, it was an action movie. It was a good action movie. The book is slightly different. Not too different. The characters, I think some characters from the book to movie have been smashed together. And they've changed things a little bit. But the biggest change is probably his girlfriend. She's a doctor, I believe, in the movie, and in this she is from France and wants to do hotel management because she's at a little bar inn type thing, learning about how to run that. I think her dream is to do like a big hotel type thing, you know, in a big city. The only thing I thought was strange was she didn't know what the SAS was when she first met Tom Buckingham. Even I know what that is. So I thought that was, and she's closer to England than I am, but you know, whatever. This was written in 2012, so who the hell knows? I think I knew what they were in 2012. It was just weird. And Andy McNabb, I think it's a pseudonym for a guy? I'm not I can't remember. But he was in the SAS and he's written a couple other books. It might be not a pseudonym. I don't remember. But yeah, it was a good book. It took me a while because the beginning, like in the movie, it just sort of jumps right into the action. Like there's a bit of a like explanatory bit, but then it's action. There's a lot of explanatory and not action. But once you got to the action, it really was good. There's a lot of chapters, but they're pretty short. I did like Tom. I did like his girlfriend. Delphine is her name. So yeah. It's a good book. I think there's 2 more in this series. Maybe 1. I don't know. I don't know if I'd continue it. But I did enjoy it. And I was like, yeah, I remember that from the movie. And then the last book I read was Invisible by Stephen L. Carter, about his grandmother, Eunice Hunton, Hunton Carter. I always want to say Houston, but it's Hunton. Hunton. She took down Lucky Luciano. And at first, I was like, oh. So, okay. No. We'll get to that part in a bit. It starts with her family life. I believe her Eunice's grandparents were slaves, and she grew up in obviously trying times. She faced a lot of racism and sexism. So they talk about her family a lot. She had a brother who became a communist, which she says didn't help her career, and that's probably true because she was in the 40s and 50s, and fucking McCarthy was around then. But yeah, I liked it. I'd never known about her. She is on Wikipedia, so that's cool. And then, she's a lawyer, but she's not really doing anything huge. And then she gets onto Thomas E. Dewey's team, 20 lawyers. I believe she was the only black person and the only woman. So, and I was like, oh, okay, she's going to be on a team that takes him down. No, they put her in a fucking corner and left her to deal with prostitution because everybody was convinced that the only way to take down Lucky Luciano was through the drugs and the gambling, and they're like, oh no, we wouldn't have anything to do with prostitution. I'm like, do you not know gangsters? If you can make money off of it, they're gonna do it. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, Lucky Luciano was a part of the prostitution, and because everybody went to her, she knew that, and she kept telling Dewey, who, he's the Dewey who, there's that famous picture of, that he won the election, but he actually lost it. Who was that? I think it was the guy after FDR, whose name I can't remember. Truman. It's Truman. There's that famous picture of Truman saying Dewey defeats Truman, when in fact Truman defeated Dewey. It is that Dewey. And he didn't want anything. He was like, yeah, nobody even listened to her until she got with another guy who was Jewish, I think. And because he was like, Dewey was like, here, just help her. And then they finally listened to her, and that's how they got Lucky Luciano. He didn't stay in prison forever, because I think it was around World War II. I think he got drafted. I don't remember. But yeah, it was her. She did it. But was she allowed in the courtroom? No. She sat in the back, though. And she watched the whole trial, but she wasn't at the desk questioning anybody. And then there was another case related to that. Because some people started recanting, and then, oh, they pressured me, I had perjury. And again, she did a lot of work on it. Again, she didn't do shit. But then Dewey got to be like the DA, I think. And he put her in charge of a section that everybody was like, that's a shit section. But she snapped it into shape. But she wanted to be a judge, and I don't know, even without her brother being a communist and being watched by the FBI, I don't know if she would have been the first black female judge in that time. But she never got it. Which is pretty sad. It also talks about, obviously, like, her parents, but her husband and son as well, who she never really connected with her son. Even Stephen L. Carter admits that she wasn't the motherly type, and probably, I don't know if he admitted it, but I think she would not have had children if she had the option. Like, that was not an option back then, especially because she was an affluent New York Harlemite black woman. Like, her family was well known. Her mom did like tours all by herself for the NAACP, I think, into like the southern places all by herself. So yeah, her and her family were pretty well known in the area, in New York and within black circles. So that was probably not an option for her, which sucked. Because her mother and her had like rigid, like societal things, and they were very upset when her brother like cheated on his wife, divorced her, married the woman he cheated on, and then did it again, and he was a communist and he went to jail. Her brother was also pretty famous. He went to Africa to, I can't remember which countries. He's not on Wikipedia, but if you Google him, you'll find him. I think he went to Zimbabwe or Zambia. I can't remember which one it was. And then another country, and he stayed there forever. So, and he went to Europe and all that stuff. So both of his grandmother and his granduncle were pretty interesting individuals, but his grandmother was just awesome. And it was very interesting to me because his grandmother was a Republican, because they were still, even in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, going by the party of Lincoln. And that's where there were a lot of black Republicans. But it was around this time that it was switching, that the Democrat and Republican ideals were switching. So I thought that was very interesting, because she was Republican, she voted Republican, and you're like, how can you do that? And she was mad when people would be turned Democrat. She didn't like the Democrats because in New York, they had Tammany Hall. It was a whole thing. But yeah, it was around this time that the two parties were switching. She did not like FDR, but she did like Eleanor, which, good choice, because FDR was a dick. So yeah, I really enjoyed this biography, and I'd recommend it. I think I might have read another black woman biography. I know I read Ida B. Wells. I probably read like a Rosa Parks or something in school, but I'd like to read more, because he's right. She is invisible. And not in her time, because she was in the newspaper all the time for her wealth and societal standing and taking down Lucky Luciano. So yeah, I'd like to read more about black women that people have forgotten. I definitely enjoyed this book, and you should pick it up if you want to know more about the woman who took down America's most powerful mobster at the time. Because Capone had already been taken down, and I think he were from Capone. But yes, those were the books I read in November. And I'm gonna see if I can get some more read in December. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.